What is going on, SoFi fans? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to give you a good overview of some of the data points, technicals, and just talk on if SoFi is a buy right now. So I'm going to go over all that. Make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So obviously the market is closed. Happy 4th of July to all the Americans that are watching this. But as of yesterday, it did close 2.16% in the green, which a fair amount of volume for it being a half a day. So 26 million for volume, 45 the average. So I want to go over some of the data points and, like I said, talk on whether right now is a good time to buy. So at the time of doing this video, and more so I guess yesterday, there was no press releases, no recent SEC filings. So it has just been following the broader market and just a lot of optimism around SoFi. So again, moving on from that though, there are some things to note. When it comes down to some of the data points, you want to look at the sentiment, and one way to do that is looking at options activity. So based on Monday, there was $3.58 million in calls being purchased versus 1.59 million in puts. So I know if you look at this data, it clearly is very much one-sided towards calls, which is insinuating that it will go up, but puts is starting to go up and creep up and up a little bit more. So of course that's something just to factor in, but if you are looking at the grid, it does indicate that around 9 to 950 is anticipated in the next couple of weeks. And of course this is going to play into what I'm going to talk on in a second. As far as big money getting in for being a half a day, it was fairly okay, but some of these transactions are a buy, and you can tell that based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price. So this is a secondary market. On a side note, there was a couple big ones, 6.2 million, and you can tell that one was a sell, similar to this 2.54 million. So it does look like big money is starting to potentially exit. And even if you look at this data point right here, so it looks like retail is also getting out as well. So once again, that's something just to factor in. And looking at stochastic though, it is currently at 7, but there is a bearish sentiment starting to form right now. And when it comes to obviously seeing if a stock is overvalued, you have to compare it to a lot of other companies within the same sector. And SoFi is kind of a hard one, but based on their multiples right now, so the PS ratio is 4.8. and the future is 3.8. In comparison, there's a lot of other fintech companies that are around maybe the 3 to 4 range. So in comparison, SoFi is a little bit overvalued in comparison, but I think their results from their earnings have spoken volumes and have been home runs in my opinion, which most likely I think they're going to be announcing their Q2 earnings first week of August, most likely. But when it comes down to estimates for that, you can even see earnings per share. So looking right here, there is now 13 estimates done by analysts, whereas roughly around 4 weeks ago, there was 11. So recently, 2 analysts did get on board, kind of reiterated their negative 6 cents for earnings per share. But when it comes down to earnings per share though, always SoFi exceeds expectations in that regard, similar to revenue, but revenue is a little bit more of a different beast. So for instance, you are looking right here, there was only 6 estimates done 4 weeks ago, and now there is 10, and you can tell the average is currently 476.53 million versus it was 4 weeks ago 479. So you can tell some analysts did lower their expectation, or at least got in with a little bit more of a bearish indication, if that makes sense. So, but still, no matter what though, SoFi always far exceeds the estimates done by analysts. But still, it is to note the fact that obviously analysts are seeing a little bit of a reduced income. I'm not really sure why or the breakdown of that. I'll give you guys a quick overview, for instance, of shorts. So shorts have been a pain and have actually been increasing their position in SoFi over the last little bit, as you can tell. So they're very, very doubtful about the whole rally that SoFi's gone on. So short score is currently 66, utilization is 45.83%, and as far as what they did yesterday, they didn't really do anything. It was kind of flat, but still 16.07% of the free float being shorted is pretty significant, and that does work out to be 128.09 million shares overall are being shorted. But over and above that, compiling everything, looking at the technicals though, it is resting on a very strong support, and that is that central Bollinger Band. There is a lot of room for it to potentially go down, and even based on everything, I did feel that there's a lot of good momentum to be had, and I think generally speaking, SoFi is going to do a phenomenal upcoming Q2 earnings. But in my opinion, based on a lot of the data points, it does seem that people are turning slowly bearish. And so in reality, I do feel that it can actually still run up, which, like I said, can be done, but I do feel that it is going to be most likely $9.78 being the peak, and from there it will bounce off of that and trend down to around maybe the 750 range. Currently it is trading between this P and the R1, like I said, so $8.40 is a very big support range for SoFi. So like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of FOMO kicking in closer to their earnings that might actually bring it closer to this 978, but once again, I feel that it is going to bounce off of that, and a lot of the other indicators are all pointing to just exhaustion, if that kind of makes sense. So a lot of bearishness, but still, no matter what has happened over the last, I guess, couple weeks or couple months or whatever it is, I think that SoFi has really been flexing on exactly how much of a deep discount it's truly been. And besides the point, even if I do say that it is going to go up tentatively in the short term and then trend back down a little bit, I still am very bullish on SoFi because basically they are a very innovative company, and I think Anthony Noto as CEO is one of the best things that could ever happen for any company. So I think Anthony Noto is going to drive SoFi to bigger and better things, potentially to double digits once again by most likely potentially Q4 in my opinion. One thing to note as well, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of that. So going back over here, so the latest Morningstar report, oddly enough, does show the fair market value for SoFi being $14. So once again, reconfirming the double digits. But like I said, what I did talk on was just short-term stuff. If you do believe in SoFi's bigger picture, yes, these prices are still considered a steal of a deal. But once again, I am not a financial advisor. You guys always do your own due diligence. Let me know you guys' thoughts on all this in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you think it is going to bounce off of this and trend lower, or do you think it's going to see sevens? What is your take on all of this in the comments below? And what have you been doing? Have you been taking profits? What's your take on all that? I actually did buy a little bit more. I think it was around a week ago at $8 and I think it was 20 cents, whatever it is, close to that. But still, my mentality with SoFi is bigger picture, and I do feel, like I said, that they are going to be a very, very big force to be reckoned with in the coming years. Once again, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Happy July 4th, and with that said, let's all make a lot of money on SoFi.